indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the Nebraska Open Meeting Act statement and posters on the wall behind us here. Roll call, Frank.
Present.
Kim.
Present.
Rex.
Here.
Josh. Here. Steve here. Christie here in the short.
We'll need, which is gonna be here shortly.
Alrighty. Alright, do I have approval of the agenda as presented?
Make that motion.
Further discussion on that? Rex.
Yes.
Josh. Yes. Frank.
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Yes. Publication of notice was in the paper, posted around town, the different businesses, and here at school and on the website, correct? Right. Guess we will move into workshop, turn it over to Mr. Cassidy.
Okay, what you should have in front of you is a couple of statements. One dealt with what we certified in 1718 and adopted. And possible proposal 1819 below it. Compare numbers. And then look it over. Put more information on the back side. And do our best to answer questions.
What's a motor vehicle thing on the bottom? Is that anything important? Like on the bottom of 17, it's 180, but then 185.
There's a certified state aid and next week. The amount that comes in on the taxes for the, they break it down, your taxes, your homestead, your vehicle.
Yeah, what's the reason for a difference there?
I don't think we had as much come in on the receipt as tax. That's for the new budget. Yes, for the receipt coming in, it wasn't as high. I thought it was going to so lower it.
Kind of crapshoot.
So you're looking at putting the same amount into the special building fund in the coming year? And on the proposal?
We've slipped it in there, but that's up to you people.
Right.
You know, we talked, I guess, a year ago that we would maybe look at that and see if that covered what we needed to do and what we thought then was our vision for the future.
Right, see, we just did that we get as far as stairways, stairwell, and we didn't really get into the additional one. Unless it was a miracle, did he get it done?
He just said that was pretty, Friday to Monday. No, because that was his first, the engineer was, are the ones that. He would work on it as fast, as quick.
I mean, it took as much paperwork as we had that we could kind of get started with without having to-
But, listen to him versus the other architect who's gonna be near as expensive as what we were previously told. I'm optimistic. 200,000 should cover us, if not one staircase, but multiple.
Doorways, 14, we could move them south. All across there.
Stay very on board.
He was very, very knowledgeable, and then they went with the sprinklers, there was more area that could be, there was more area that could be left from stairway to stairway with the sprinklers, so we could make like that. Lift over here, it could be a safe area and not even considered in.
Distances and
Because
everything.
I think it added so much more footage.
So until he gets back to this, because he said he had to look up, first off, talk to the fire marshal, and then do the research of what exactly why the guidelines.
On a lot of things, even like on that 36, that doorway into that storage door, right by the bathroom, that doesn't. Yeah. Door.
Last night, instead of taking the wall clear out 4 feet, all we needed was the door. Coming to that understood. And he brought them out from the stairs,
Right, but he might have to move those doorways.
then he said that he only needed 4 feet. So it wasn't gonna have to be clear out the middle.
And where that, where the sprinkler equipment is, by Mr. Gaffney's room, that can be included into an area because it's not the electrical. If that was electrical, it would be that, but so there were different things that he noticed that he could take care of in the building.
He seemed to be up on code. If he had a question, he comes to himself and made mention of the fact I have to check that out to be sure. I like that. Very soft spoken. Did a lot of listening. Sometimes we have to fire there. Okay, just for your information, evaluation in the 3 counties that we pull money out of. Pretty much flatlined and dropped below what they were a year ago, and Lincoln and McPherson and Logan is up about $831,930. Lincoln County is not quite as bad.
We don't have a paper showing that. do we?
On the back.
Yeah, on the back side, it should have
We just have to prove.
totals.
Okay.
I can give you some numbers right off.
No, that's basically down 1.5 million, right?
started out to be a little more than that when they first contacted us, but when they certified it, it wasn't quite as painful. Gina and I have worked through, I think, at least 3 times, line item for line item, to see what maybe was not quite where it should be, or if there was maybe a little bit too much fluff there. But rule of thumb is that you should have at least 2 months worth of expenses kind of sitting around, in case taxes will slow down to a trickle, whatever. We thought maybe we could make it a little less than that, possibly, if I thought more of it. Even with the losses, good evaluation. Unless you don't want to see that happen. Fuel. Fuel was up quite a little bit over what it was this time a year ago. Propane, I checked with both Fry's and Co-op. What would it be if you locked it in? Both managers, Mr. Fry or the gentleman, he thinks he just better off. And it goes low. Both of them do. I think it's going to come down. There's a lot. There's that money.
What the price of it was right now?
Co-op to do something for $1.30.
And that's prepaid.
Now, I presented this to Gina. In the past, we've had a history of spending some money both for fuel and for propane. Bring down our overall in the month of August. But that's been a fair size amount of money. No idea, maybe like to visit about maybe make finish so off with first 2 loads. So you want me to be less interest we would have to pay if you with that particular angle. I've had the opportunity to sit down and visit. I think you've always purchased your propane from this guy. Reason why I called Co-op to see if there was different two possible outlets. Yeah. This time of year, that was twice. Electricity, we're gonna have Thursday. I got people to make commitments gonna come in and work with us on how to manage system maybe better than what we did last winter. See if we, cost of what we saw. That, Charlie, I haven't put a buffer door and, seal off, but we didn't put a door up between the two apartments, or shall we say where the propane boiler was and the coal burning boiler. Plus we need to keep that one room heated. No better, and that was, stored up last winter. It's probably going to be. Dave and I opened that door, probably somewhere.
Where the hot water heaters are.
Proved to me that was probably.
What's your, on the alarm?
Gentleman from Ogallala that I had come in that I worked with when I was at High End. Fine, very sharp at what he does. He's got about 15 of these type of units that he cares for out in Western Alaska. He said once our warning is up, it'd be more and more. This would probably take if he would service the need of service. But he felt that the 3 on-demand water heaters that we have, if they were just left to be solar units rather than dumping water into that big tank, keeping 112 degrees, probably not. They produce enough. He said, and he told me, he said, put your hand up. I mean, it's like, he's right up. That unit keeps that water warm. Hey, especially sometimes, not necessarily draw anything at all. I mean, that's the point there. And the beauty of those units with hot water on demand. That problem we have is it travels the doggone far to the western end of our building that maybe we need to look at some smaller units under things. Feels bad for them, or maybe boys that well to alleviate that loss of it. I don't know if they're down in that tunnel. How well.
Never looked in there, but
Most of it. Yeah, right.
The gentleman's name is Jason Lee, so I just feel so much more comfortable working with that gentleman than I do anytime you call AJ. 3 times we've had a technical working with different people. Each and every one of them told me and you know, overheard it or not. We haven't been schooled. But we've got a guy coming Thursday. I have to meet that person. So, you might visit with Launch, Mr. Launch, all interested. So, invited Mr. Fry. First time I didn't. No contact. That way we've got some people. that know.
So you got both of the budget pretty much. That in mind, we're only gonna raise the mill levy. Not even a full percent, right?
Just to calculate. And it's 69 this past year on the general, and this would put it at 70. 70.23.
I don't know, I guess me personally. Remember, got knocked out.
Considering what all we've done, but the minor improvements here, there, and wherever in our building, we've managed to stay under what we could have been. The price comparison every once in a while really helps on some of this.
Get that, let's go.
A lot different.
I'll tell you, if this economy doesn't perk up, what little we saw in a drop in valuation this past month, and we look for it to free fall, but it's and so when you're working with, say, maybe $3 to $5 million less valuation next year, try to keep it at the present levy would be very, very difficult without really doing some chomping.
Does our budget coincide with all the other stuff, like the evaluation set, and then when we set our levy, there won't be any change, the evaluation set later.
These are all certified.
Of August
Just got that just the other day. What you would have got about a month ago out of me, if you asked, was their guesstimate of what they thought it would. And I knew that's the difference.
All the evaluation.
Want to keep same dollars up here, keep raising the levy. You know what that would be, a conversation.
If we could leave that fix the building and fund the loan, and I'd still like to keep close to that 3 months. How do you feel? You know, you don't know what.
Well,
Someone's gonna
it's
show up
gonna
in
be
August or May and pay the, you be able to pay the tax.
Quite a little while not paying that. You want to be, you can dress it up for a while.
I'm gonna leave this name anonymous, but this lady talked to me in December. And we just started out with small talk, and she said, of course, taxes, goes on the people's tongues anymore. She said, I've got money paid right now for next year. he said, I think it's gonna be a whole lot easier for me to go in and talk to my banker in August about an operating note rather than pay tax. So we're gonna take some of that operating money, pay taxes now, and hope for the best. Come September, if I need some extra money to operate, I think my way of looking at it is gonna work better than it would be the way we've done it in the past. We're mainly cattle people, and that hasn't maybe slipped like maybe some of the green farm operations have. Anyway, I thought that was.
You think that's, been pretty well maintained this, that's something really good, crazy. I think
And if Gina and I work closely together, there's just maybe other things that we can tighten up on, if it looks like.
but we don't wanna get to the point that we tighten up, because that was one thing those people said the other day. They was impressed with our building. What we did, what we've done, and how well it was kept. And I've seen it when we have cut, and some of those things start falling through the cracks. And right now, we're still making up for those things that we probably shouldn't have done. You know, we shouldn't have tried to keep things as well possible, because now we're playing catch up with probably I hate to say it, but a higher price than what we do. Now, sounds like those people.
And if you have to go to the bank and borrow a little money now, it's, price are they looking at maybe one, if not two more increases, those are short-term loans. One of the things I looked at long and hard was, gave them to Steve's request, which is take a contract with the auditor, because of the fact that you people. Any, go ahead.
You'll prefer another one which got the 3 months? This one goes, you'll have to do it.
This could be quite close right here.
I'd rather be safe than sorry. 3 months ago.
So that's the rule of thumb, to have what your expenses normally are. And-
Steve said, I think it's good to have that 3 months. He called us to plan the note.
That's right. I won't have to.
Or we call you.
Well, we can always maybe bump this up just a fraction if you want to. Personally, I think this is probably as much shaving as you want to do. Be assured that things can.
Anybody got any comment out there? All righty. Well, we will.
Anytime you want to stop by the office or call me on the phone to visit a little bit about what we may do between now and 20th of September.
We will adjourn this budget hearing. We'll move to the regular board meeting, on the regular board meeting. Nebraska Open Meeting Action Statement poster is behind anybody, if you need to know anything about things that goes on. And we'll wait for roll call. Christie.
Here.
Josh. Here. Rick. Tim.
Present.
Frank.
Present.
Here. norms, starting with Frank, system norms.
Listening. We will listen to understand by using eye contact, not interrupting or having side channels.
Decisions. We make decisions based on what's best for all students in Stapleton Public Schools using current data, considering the impact on staff, and following all legalities.
Expectations. We collaborate to do great things for students. We avoid negativity but encourage dissension and constructive criticism without repercussions. We value different opinions and trust that everyone is working for the best interest of the students.
Confidentiality. In order to freely discuss what we need to discuss, we keep what occurs during executive session confidential.
Time. We agree to come prepared by reading the packets before the board meeting. Their administrators share only highlighted during the reports. Utilize the timekeeper and times agenda in order to have sufficient meetings.
Participation. We invite input from all. We agree to be respectful of everyone's thoughts and ideas. We will articulate clearly, concisely, and on topic, and loudly enough so all can be heard.
Okay, thank you. Anything special on board development, or will we get that as we go through?
Probably get it as we go through.
All right. And everyone is here, so move on to approval of the agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Any other questions or discussion? Frank?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Yes. Anybody need to speak to us at this time? All right. We will move on to approval of the prior minutes. Do I have a motion to do that?
I'll make that motion to approve both sets of minutes.
Have a second? Also, Josh, second. Any questions or discussion? Kim?
Yes.
Josh? Yes. Christie?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Yes. Frank, you had the claims this month?
Yeah, I did. Everything looks all right except for, I'd like to question number 442. Second page. Reason this one got to my attention, I guess. How we talked about doing vehicles and stuff. On this item, I feel we got here with them. We got, there's basically 5 hours and 19.15 hours. But, you know,
You asked me about this.
hours and the size of maybe double checking on the situation. So we went ahead and double check out. You guys want to see this? I can read out everything that's on here in the page. What does it say?
Fred? Let's look at it.
We're sure that we had said that we should be fueling anything. We agreed that everybody that drove the vehicle was supposed to fuel it when they were done. There shouldn't have been any fueling that needed done.
Checked a couple of them, but I noticed there's one that's higher than that. Half an hour on the car.
That's your pump up.
Is there an explanation as to why these vehicles didn't get fueled by the previous driver?
Well, we've got this summer lag. check into.
That
The
was
one,
what
the
this
one
one-
time on the car could have been because somebody wanted to take it and maybe didn't have a full time. I have no idea how much.
There's several.
We will visit that.
So I guess I would make the motion, I'd go ahead and pay the bills as presented with the exception of holding out check 4427, in the amount of $296.50.
Second that motion.
Any other discussion? Was that the first one we've had since June,
I think since May.
May? Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Frank?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Treasurer's report, Mr. Gaffney?
Okay. We have all information that's as current as we can get it in front of you.
Unless you want it back in the car. However you guys want.
Use that. Once you finished up, paying what we had for bills here in August, and some of them, because of supplies and whatnot, that teachers wanted, checking your super now and incidentally and money market. Receipts. Your expenses. Almost not quite double what it was in July, but once again, not orders were placed. Total cash left compared to a year ago, you can see. Special building. Pretty well took it where it needs to be, in the state, business management. Appreciation.
Anybody got any specific questions on it?
We had the auditors in, I think, since we had the last meeting. Evidently, there wasn't any flags, no shooting ups. That's pretty good. Activity account. Wrestling. We ended up ordering some uniforms too, correct?
That I didn't think it. That's the transfer.
We did think they should have that number. He did tell me, the gun raffle raised thousands. I think what were the three cost of the gun, but still would leave them more than $2,000. Okay, we'll put down the trophy case fund balance. Give us an update on that one, Gina.
And so that's still the price of that. Scanner and all the online stuff. So
With a little help of $1,800 from the outside world, right? Okay. Y'all got any other questions? Okay, thank you, Jeff. Community liaison, connect.
Okay, throughout the summer, I've been attending the Stapleton Chamber meetings. Open house was last Wednesday, and so the teachers were in their classrooms from 4 to 6. And then the Booster Club planned their cookout the same evening. And that was from 5 to 8 to kick off the new school year. Room parents have been found for all of the classes, which is the quickest we've ever had volunteers. So all of the preschool through 6th grade have, and they're all moms, so they all have room moms. We opened it up to all parents just to see if any dads were interested, but that was fun. Also, throughout this last spring and summer, I updated and shared a document with houses for sale and rent in our community with our staff members. So Stapleton's housing market has been hot the last few months, which is crazy but awesome. So I just continue to update that list and share it with them, and just to encourage them to join in our community.
And we're not asking for a percentage of the rentals or the.
Might find out by your
Well, I know what my backup job could be, but I've been working with the chamber and the Ag Society to help get volunteers for the fair activities this past weekend. As a member of the Stapleton Public School Foundation Board, I have shared and reminded teachers of a request form, and we have a meeting set up for September 5th. And we will be looking at those teacher request forms to hopefully give some money back into the school. We had set up a scholarship fund, and that was given back in May as well. So we're seeing some of those dollars that we collected at the foundation gala, and we're getting them back. I continue to update the school's Facebook page throughout the summer, and any important information, I send it to the newspaper. And they don't run a school page during the summertime, but they would run some ads and little things of events we had coming up. And then the kindergarten first and second grade are interested in doing a grandparents' day. So this week I'll be getting out information that will be celebrated on September 10th, because Grandparents' Day is September 9th, Sunday. So they're planning on inviting the grandparents in at 2:30 in the afternoon, and they can have a fun snack and do an activity with their kids and see what school is like nowadays, I guess. Any questions?
Thank you.
I'd like to commend the young lady for what she has done over the summer. Never once complained. Got her that.
I'm not a photographer.
Appreciate that.
The activity director report.
Hard to- I don't have a big formal report all typed out, but, our fall activities are underway. We have junior high volleyball and football, and high school cross country. I guess we're junior high cross country.
football and volleyball going too. So, we have 18 kids out for volleyball, which is a pretty good number. I believe we have 12 football. That includes your student manager.
Picked up one today.
Yep.
I don't think that's including the but that-
Mhm. And, cross country, we have 4 high school and the rest are junior high. So there's more junior high interest in cross country than high school at this point. We had a donation from somebody in the community to purchase junior high volleyball courts. So we got those ordered, and then the kids did some fundraising and went with the name brand jersey for the high school to get our students that we jerseys for schedule.
But 12 football boys, is that just us or does that include McPherson?
Just us going to try out.
You know how many Tryon has?
3. I'm not certain on that uniform.
Okay, thank you. So, board committee reports, I guess. Let's take an engineer.
Well, we covered some of it when back in the budget report, but no, good meeting. Have to explain, what we need to do, what we think we need. According to the fire marshal, gave him a tour of the whole place, plus at the, south end of the 1936, that staircase and how that has to be in the, state exit. What we need to do there. Thank you. Good meeting, covered a lot of things, looked at a lot of things, asked a lot of questions. They were really good about, just like ours, if they didn't know the answers, they told us so, and then get after it and see if they could find it out.
Group them all together, I mean, they
Yeah.
really did.
Like on that stairwell on the south, that fire escape on the south, and then got all 4 welding shops in North Platte. That they can put them together, we don't have to have something manufactured a long ways away. They're more than willing to work with a local welding. Anything else? Yep.
Gonna have a, probably a transportation committee meeting shortly after. We decided to and look at a few things afterwards. And I got, these are all of our vehicles. And I wrote alongside of them which bus represents what route. And how many total miles were put on them at the last year. Bus, of course, that gets the most miles put on it, runs twice a day into North Platte, number 1 bus. Presently has over 100,000. It is in pretty good shape though, mainly because it doesn't get beat out in the country at all. Number 3 is our surplus bus. We ran it just a little bit last year and it wasn't good to buy. Number 5 is your minibus. Number 10 is the Ford van that travels north. And even though we put some money into it last summer, It's been pretty reasonable to take care of since. Visited with Mr. Johnson twice. Anything you'd like to be done to that needs to be done? Yeah, not to my knowledge, and Travis has checked it out, so it should keep it good for a while yet. Number 11. It's the one that has the sliding door, has the least amount of miles on it for a city van. Door makes it a little more difficult for young people to get in and out of. Have a door latch problem with it right now. I think it's being corrected as the day went on today. Number 14, then Sandy and Gina. So Gina takes it in the morning, Sandy in the evening, goes west. 15 is another van that we bought. It's there to use whenever. And we may have to slip it in there for number 10 here. 16, that's all it takes. Even though it doesn't have that many miles on it, it's kind of a costly little thing, like very close to turbo went out of it. Cummins would cover everything with that turbo reason. I would spend many minutes on the phone discussing. That bill started out to be somewhere in the neighborhood of many thousands. But I think that gentleman do some checking and see what we could get covered by what not. Okay, 17.1 is activity. That's probably the newest and one we put on those trips. 17.2 is the rest of the handbook. Even though it has some of the fewest miles, it might have one of the roughest roads to have to cover. And I have ridden with her, and yeah. And I went to the commissioners there in July. I recommended that they put several stretches of that road high on the priority list to build up and get some gravel on there. Try to do a little better job. Richard assured me the next day that we had been moved to the top of their priority list. And the right. Some of you are probably better judges of whether that's happened or maybe not. The caravan, we use it about every day. It's got some age on it, but not necessarily a great number of miles, considering what you can get out of some of those. But we might look at doing something maybe next summer with that, especially if we're going to have drivers ed again. The Impala, we've had a couple little issues with that. Travis was able to take care of it for a fairly reasonable amount compared to what I was told by the Chevy garage in Brokenville. Dealt with one of the actuators on the heating and cooling control. It's been fixed for the time being at least. Bronco bus, we did have to use it there, especially when Polly's was incapacitated last spring. The Denali, and we're trying to take pretty good care of it. It's there to use if we have several that need to go someplace. And so the total is 138,892 miles to be put on board. And you can drop down below and see what it compared with, the year.
All right. Ready to move on to the 18-19 budget. Good.
Any other questions concerning what, we may have already discussed first half hour of this evening? Like I said, you have a question or two that comes up between now and the next board meeting. Please feel free to get a hold of me and we can visit, or if we need to have a special meeting, we can have a special meeting.
Okay. So, we move on to the bus video system.
Okay, a couple different times last year, we could have possibly used a camera system on that new platform. Those of you that have ever driven a bus, or can probably use your imagination here, realize that we need to be paying attention to our driving when we're going down there. But when you hear a little racket behind and all you have is that mirror to look up into and try to figure out who's doing what back there, as maybe you're raising your voice, so on and so forth, a good camera system would possibly help us with determining what we may need to react to. But, and I brought this up to Mrs. Harvey as early as last April and May, did a little research, found a company that would want to visit with us a little bit. But when I talked to her today, I said, now, Mrs. Harvey, I said, you consider this a need or a want? She says, well, it's probably not needed. In other words, she said 3 pretty good days. It's not cheap. We're looking at probably, well, just the unit alone, to have a camera that would look back and another one at the back of the bus to kind of make sure you're catching people that might be slouched down in their seats. That's not quite $1,300. If that doesn't get the shipping done, doesn't get the installation done, so on and so forth. So probably looking at minimum $1,500 if you use both cameras. Wouldn't have to go both cameras, but with 2 other school districts I've been affiliated with, we just have a camera at the front. But this gentleman that visited with me in Nevada, California, he said these cameras are so much more reliable. I mean, they can pick up an image go at the back of that bus about like you're in a seat or 2 ahead of. But once again, he said, just that camera alone doesn't necessarily pick up the complete picture. You've got some smaller kids pushing around towards the back. And I've got a little literature here besides what you already have in your, I guess you got one in your packet. I don't know if you took time to look at it, but this is something that we might want to just review as we go through the next month. And we'll see how the trip goes here in the next couple weeks. And then Mrs. Harvey will be very truthful with me if we've got some problem children. Last year, whenever there seemed to be any sort of an issue, she got right to me and tried to bite it in the butt the day of. And or Mrs. Walker took care of it. But anyway, it could possibly be money well spent. But this is the only bus that we seem to have. You know, it's the most kids. I mean to tell you, pretty full this morning. And the few students that we've picked up since we thought what we would have. Of course, we run a van as well, you know, this, and once you feel stuff to do with this. And then, and I'm sure this gentleman sitting in the crowd, he can probably get us all fixed up with the camera system, maybe he's got a better deal. Have a good check. He, seems to know his business, so. But anyway, that's where we set with that.
Move on to action items. Discuss and take appropriate actions on 2018 school bus rebate program funded by the Volkswagen diesel emissions mitigation.
At this point in time, I would like to turn this over to Tyler Cox, gentleman's out of Grand Island area, represents this company, and without any further ado,
I'm Tyler, as Mr. Gaffney introduced. I sent a letter to Mr. Gaffney probably a month ago or so discussing this Volkswagen grant and the availability to public schools in Nebraska. It comes from Volkswagen getting in a little bit of trouble for their emission standards that they weren't meeting or that they were kind of cheating. And that money is going back to the people of Nebraska in different ways and forms. But Nebraska did award approximately $3.2 million to schools to replace old diesel engine school buses. So I helped Mr. Gaffney. I came out about 3 weeks ago with your old bus and was able to get you guys the grant for replacing the 28 passenger minibus that you guys have got. Instead of trading it in, what they actually want for this grant is for you to scrap that bus, get it completely off the road and replace it. So the grant was to cover 60% of the cost of the new bus. So I quoted Mr. Gaffney a propane powered minibus that's to the exact same spec as that bus so that it could be used for the same purposes. From what I understand, it's used for some practice transportation and maybe some in-town routes or something like that. But I quoted you with a propane powered bus, which got you 60% of cost of the new bus covered, roughly about, I think $47,000 is the amount you'll receive back in a rebate grant. And then the school would be responsible for the rest, 40%, which was just shy of $32,000. I want to say it's like $31,800 would be what you as the school would be responsible for to cover the other half of the bus. I have quotes and information on the bus for each one of you if you'd like me to pass that around.
Tyler, one of the board members approached me just today thinking that maybe we'd be better off if we went with the new diesel instead of this area. We could probably work something up there as well after they look something like this over in a day or so.
Yes.
So they can compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. I did let the gentleman know that that grant would probably be quite as good as it would be for propane. Is that correct?
Correct. The difference that would be if you guys did decide to go with the diesel is you have to move up to what they call a Type C school bus, so your conventional style school bus. Nobody actually sells a diesel powered, they call it Type A, so a cutaway style like the minibus. There's not a diesel powered Type A bus on the market any longer in the school bus industry. They only sell gasoline or propane in the bus style now. So if you did want to go with a diesel bus, we could do that, but it would have to be moved up to a Type C conventional style school bus. Actually, so for this grant, you could still scrap the small one. For this, I'm sorry, let me back up a little bit. For this grant, in order to receive the grant, the only bus you can scrap is that small one. This year, anyway. We could reapply next year using a different bus, but the way you were awarded this grant, you will have to get rid of that bus. Now, you can change what bus you purchase within some limits. You have to stay within the same GVWR class and things like that. But you are able to change what bus you replace it with, just can't change which bus you're getting. Yes. So if you replace with a diesel, it will go down to 50%, and a diesel style conventional school bus will actually go up in price as well. So total amount due by your district would go up a good amount. I would say in the ballpark of $15,000 to $20,000 truly. Now,
Here's, if I can interrupt you just for a second, the selling point. Holly came to me this morning, she said, I don't know if it's economically feasible for me to run a big yellow bus, took the route that I've been taking, due to the fact that less students. Bus this size, or if we start driving that little one, we do something. Probably the route we're gonna look at. And so if we did purchase this, we might also use it on our route as well.
one other point regarding the propane versus diesel. I was here when you guys were talking about budgets in regards to fuel and things like that. There's been a lot of studies put on by us and other manufacturers about the benefits of propane. And through Bluebird Propane, we use the Ford V10 6.8 liter engine. It has plenty of power for this size of a bus. We actually use the same engine in our big 78 passenger buses. So on a small 28 passenger, you're gonna have plenty of power. But you're also, school districts are seeing on average about $2,500 to $3,000 savings per bus per year. And that comes from fuel, comes from your filter changes, your oil changes. It takes about 1/4 of the amount of oil that a diesel engine takes. The filters are a lot cheaper, and just the service on getting work done on this style engine. It's the same exact engine as a Ford gasoline engine. So pretty much anyone can work on it. And as you probably know, diesel techs are a little more expensive to pay than just your standard Ford gasoline powered engine technician. So anyways, you'll see savings in fuel cost, total cost of ownership in that way. So, and also like Mr. Gaffney said, it sounds like you had some diesel engine troubles last year with turbos and things like going out. It's something you won't have to worry about on a bus like this.
Yes, and use that one.
Mr. Fry said we could get those.
Either one should do. It's just like it should be just like the tank on your RVs.
Right.
And all that. But usually, I think Paul is usually going through there before, right close to 5 or a little before. I think.
How many gallon tank is
It's a 40-gallon tank.
40-gallon tank?
It's a pretty big tank.
What's the average, that's the number of miles you travel.
The range on the tank is about 250 to 270 per tank.
Are all the seats the integrated child seat?
On this one, I don't believe so, but we can change that. Does it say it in the quote?
I don't know, I was just looking at the prior.
Are you talking the one that flips down with the?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, those can be added if necessary. You bet. And the way Bluebird just remanufactured all of our seats as well that go into all our buses. They're called a convertible seat now. So it's something that you could do down the road very easily if you decided, hey, we need a couple of integrated seats in this bus. They can be added very cost effectively and simply. You could, your maintenance director here could do it himself. Really easily.
Do they have belts in them or just have that?
This one I didn't quote with the belts, but same sort of situation. They could be added very easily. If you wanted just like a lap belt in it, I think it's like $2 per seat or something. It's very simple add. You can add the 3-point safety belts. Those are a little bit more pricey, but not too much.
I guess I never could figure out being on the fire department, all the standard stuff, they're like. all around.
Yeah. That's a question as a bus salesman I get almost every day from different people. Basically, what we say is we've engineered those seats as the best that we can as a bus manufacturer to be sort of like a compartment, and the design for those seats is if was an accident that the student would stay in that compartment area of the seat until the bus came to a resting point. Right, right. Until when the bus comes to a resting point, then the student would move. But there's arguments for and against seatbelts in school bus, and um, I'm not a parent, so I don't like to weigh in my personal thoughts. But I know Bluebird has done the best they can to manufacture a seat that's safe as they can without seatbelts. But if you want seatbelts in your seats, then we aren't afraid to put those in there as well.
These engines, the federal warranty, do they have?
Ford offers a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty on everything that they do. Bluebird backs it up with a 2-year warranty. We have a service and warranty manager out of my dealership that would handle all of that for you. Of course, I'd be in contact if you had any issues, but Bluebird itself, well, I'm sorry, Ford, any Ford component you could have worked on at any Ford dealership or any mechanic. Basically, if you have a mechanic that you like, we'll get them signed up to do warranty work for you, or we can direct you to someone nearby that does do Bluebird or Ford warranty work. We'll work with you to make it the most convenient that we can for you. We have school districts from all 300 and some schools in Nebraska that have Bluebirds, so we've got a lot of people all around the state signed up to do warranty work that can help you out if that's necessary.
The warranty work on the propane part of it?
You bet. Mm-hmm. It's actually just a modified. The fueling system is made by Roush CleanTech, and it's almost exactly the same as a gasoline-powered bus. So, if they needed some help, we have resources that could get them the help they needed. Any mechanic.
Well, I guess hopefully they've improved them, because all I can remember is a hole in the hood and the freezer 100 yards out field.
What's that?
A hole in the hood and the freezer about 100 yards out in the field. It wasn't a new rig.
City stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're familiar. Well, we've already got 5 school districts in Nebraska that are converting their bus entire fleet to propane. And then Omaha Public Schools, which utilizes Student Transportation of America, which is a bus contractor. They have 450 some buses in their fleet that are all propane powered. So they're safe. There are some safety concerns that people bring up with propane. The fuel tank sits in between the frame rails right in the middle of the bus, and its puncture resistance is actually 60 times out of the diesel. And they're safe vehicles. They're quiet, which is good for drivers. As you were talking about, it gets a little noisy in a school bus, but the propane engine is very quiet in comparison to a diesel. And another benefit is the cold weather startup. Don't have to plug it in. It'll start right up when you go out to it on a cold winter morning.
Trucking firms are changing
So why do you recommend the Ford over like a Chevy or Chevy?
Because Chevy doesn't manufacture a propane powered. If they did, we would go with that. But we only sell Ford propane, and Chevrolet doesn't make a propane powered cutaway chassis.
Oh, this says propane powered available on the seats.
They might use a different outfitter to do it aftermarket. I'm not quite sure, but we buy the chassis direct, so we don't do any of the outfitting. They're already made that way when they come to us. So I'm not quite sure, but no, Chevy will only sell a gasoline powered engine to a school district. We also can't sell a Chevrolet diesel engine anymore either. The Duramax, they won't sell that to a school district either. They will only sell Chevy, but GM will only sell a gasoline powered chassis to a school district. And that's federal. I'm not sure exactly what all goes into that, but that's on the federal level.
the questions I got for you, Howard, is that minibus drove 1,000 miles last year. Is it worth $32,000 for us to drive 2,000 miles?
And right now, I'm running two vans. Wow. So, I'm doing, I said next week, next week. And that's what he's going to be. College. Problem is, he tries to take that. Might be able to get by with the plan. By with the plan. Do that with them. Now, with the numbers of kids we've got south, we might have to look at using it for that one. Along with the big one.
They have to be licensed for that one, just like we do the regular pickup.
And you can check the phone bills, I'm busy with the DMV.
Been there, done
I think, the Ford van, their bus, they don't sit in it like they do in our little bus. That was on the, like, you're more flat with everything, or it doesn't spin in, but that little one, if you sit down,
The
nobody
visibility-
likes it
Visibility is really bad.
bad.
On your current minibus? It's very similar to that. I don't, what were the complaints
It's
exactly?
just the way that the frame was made and where the mirrors are and everything,
Mhm.
just the visibility of checking. You don't have the openness, check both ways and.
Oh. If you look at the picture on the front of the quote, there is we added what we call a more view window, which is right in front of the entrance door. So to hopefully allow for a little more visibility, shoulder to shoulder. There's an additional window there, and then we do have automatic mirrors and things like that, as well as the cross view mirrors. So I honestly can't say for sure if the visibility would be a lot better. I do know that the bus that you have outside is a different manufacturer, and it has a little bit different body design. I know it's pretty boxy. Ours is more kind of a rounded figure. I don't know if that would help, but that's one thing I get compliments on. A lot of these buses I've sold, the Type A, is the visibility. But I honestly don't know if it would be better or not.
I just remember that we had a lot of complaints.
Hmm.
And they wouldn't even use it hardly. They can use it so,
Now, looking at this bus here, and I'm not, don't think it's about putting it down.
Yeah.
We've had really bad luck with bluebirds with their mirrors.
Oh, really?
We cannot keep them on a bus around here.
On a big bus?
There, and these are sticking out there an awful long ways for what our roads are gonna do, and we found the International's the only one that put a mirror on there to this day.
Yeah, we actually, you don't have any Bluebird small buses, so it'd be a little different, but we actually just redesigned our whole entire mirror system. They're a different, whole entire different mount. They're a bell mount system with the front bracket that comes down is, it used to be basically like a clamp that was installed, and then the piping went down and then it clamped together. We got a lot of rattle, which created a lot of looseness in the bolts and things like that, which loosened it all up. It's now more of a bell mount with a gasket system, so that vibration is absorbed by the gasket in between the mirror mount and the hood of the vehicle. The same with the rear view mirrors on the sides. We now have a system that connect. It used to just go out and hang down with no connection from the bottom, so there's just free vibration down there, which again loosened the top. As the more it vibrated down the road, it loosened the bolts up. So now it's actually a full U and connects down at the bottom with that same gasket system. That's on the big bus. Now the small bus, the mirrors will actually be OEM from GM, the rearview mirrors. So It'll be the same as any of your vans that you've got. I'm sorry, it'll be Ford. But the rear view mirrors are the same as a Ford van, and then the cross view mirrors are on that new system that I was just talking about as well.
Because these aren't supported by the top. We're gonna be just opposite that. Used to hang them from the top. Now these are hung from the bottom.
And they
this is
point
the
out, right, yeah, but those are Ford, and any issues with those, do you have Ford vans or do you have Chevy vans?
Both.
Both. It would be the same as your Ford vans, so if you've had issues with those, I'm not sure. But that is two complaints we had with Bluebird were our mirrors and our windows. As far as windows having vibrations down the road, and then leakage, and then how school bus windows, you see they get to fall down where they're down one notch and you can't get them up. We've addressed those two issues within our last 2 model years for the mirrors and the windows.
Well, right now, for vans, all you're seeing is Fords being put out there. And I don't know whether this is something General Motors has decided to do. Chevy Garage is what will not sell it.
Yeah, that's true. Nationwide now, Chevrolet will not sell a passenger van to a school district. They'll do the school bus because the school bus meets all the federal and statewide safety standards. But Ford is the only one that will sell you a van nowadays. And to be honest, I see Ford following suit with that, not selling a van any longer, just because of the safety liabilities with that. You could buy a used GM van if you wanted to, because you're allowed to buy whatever you want used, basically. But yes, Chevrolet or GM in general will not sell you a new van of any sort as a school district. And like I said, I see Ford probably following suit with that here within the years.
They're moving a lot of them right now.
Yeah, they probably are.
You look at Corey.
Actually, I took Corey's position.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I was wondering, is what happened.
Yeah, I've been in this position about 3 years now.
Well, when I first heard about this grant, I made several contacts, numbers of that, and I really didn't seem to be getting anywhere. And I knew it was getting close to time for you didn't have the right application filled out, you're probably going to miss out. And Corey called up one morning, do I have a deal for you? And one thing led to another. Made the trip out here to visit with me.
Now, question for you also on the price.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We used to, and this is what we used to give for the big buses.
Yeah.
Is there a markup because of the
Propane?
commission grant?
Oh, no, definitely not. Now, for a propane bus, you will pay a little more initially. There's definitely a cost increase there. However, they try to make that up with the total cost of ownership, the money you save down the road. I don't know how long it's been since you've quoted a new bus, but they're going up as well. Part of the reason that we're seeing a lot of increases is these steel tariffs that we've been going through lately nationwide. Bluebird is affected by that, and all manufacturers are affected by that. And I believe it was July 1st. I think it was July 1st that they started including a steel surcharge on all school buses.
That's what the,
It was about almost $6,000. Yeah, it was huge, and that's a big chunk per school bus. And it's non-discountable. It's just on the end of the invoice. So unfortunately, the school districts are one people that are going to see that affect them, and that's the way it is.
Life vehicle mileage right now.
All of our buses are put through what's called an Altoona bus test. It's run out of the University of Pennsylvania. It basically, any bus manufactured in the United States gets put through an Altoona bus test, and they simulate it for 160,000 miles, and then give it a score based off of how it ended up. I guess after this, it's one of those test tracks where they put it over the bumps and speed it up and slow it down and all those things. Our bus actually came out number one in the school bus industry. This particular bus that I quoted you is number one in the school bus industry. So they say 160,000 miles is when you will start to see repairs needed. Not to say it couldn't last longer than that, but that's when you'll start to see some of the major issues coming up that you see in a vehicle. But 160,000 miles is a good average life of a vehicle like this, I think. Now, in Nebraska, as you're aware, and I'm aware, we have a little bit rougher roads that school buses endure, and that affects that a little bit, but overall, they have a good rating.
Any more questions?
If eases you at all, if you decide not to make a decision tonight or whatever you decide, I do have buses that you can see. I could bring a bus out next board meeting or whenever, if you felt that was necessary. I don't have a propane one I could show you. I do have a gasoline one I could show you, just to get the idea. Always an option if that's something you're interested in.
What engine do you use for the gasoline?
It's the same. Actually, the one I have in stock right now as a demonstrator is actually the Ford Transit bus. So that's the new style chassis. It's kind of more rounded. It's a lighter duty chassis. But in anything in the E450, which I've quoted you, the the 1-ton chassis, we use that 6.8 liter for gasoline or propane.
When I left Hyannis, they recruited me to drive a route for it because they didn't have enough drivers for first 35 or 40 days of school. And they put me in one very similar to this. And I really enjoyed that. 18 kids that picked up family, and you go to comfortable and school right around. And there are some major differences between the bus I drove and the one that you drove.
Did they make this one full of drive version?
No, not originally. It's an aftermarket option that we can add, but to be honest, it's about a $10,000 outfit into a four-wheel drive.
These transmissions are holding up pretty good.
You bet. It's actually that same. It's the 7-speed that goes behind all the Ford. This engine transmission combination is what they put in like their F650s, I believe, like the big Ford chassis that are for moving trucks and things like that. So, and I believe this engine has been in manufacturing for just under 12 years now. So it's pretty tried and true, this combination that they've got for this bus.
And the thing with that one that got, a little bit with the transmission. Any more questions? Thank you.
And we'll be in contact.
Yep.
And next time you come out, you might want to bring one of those.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for all you've done up to this point.
You bet. Thank you guys for having me.
Once they chew on this a little bit.
That sounds good. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Drive safely.
Thank you.
So, how long do we have on the green?
This quote good for 30 days?
50 days. You have up to a year to make a decision on it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of money for a little piece of bus.
What's that?
It's a lot of money for a little piece of bus.
I think it's only about 31 2. Yeah.
I would agree with that, but I also like to that power, 1,000 miles on that minivan or minibus.
Or was it not driven because it wasn't?
Because of the age.
Last year, it really didn't work out for very many of the routes, and, we could have used it on going west to football practice, but
We didn't.
nobody had the proper license to drive that. So I
And,
didn't correct that.
and we got a Ford van that we bought last year. It was supposed to be used and it only got 2,500 miles. Not only we got 3,000 miles put on it, we got what, 17 vehicles sitting here. Yeah, I mean, I agree, it's a great deal. They're gonna pay over half of it, but
Is it necessity at this point in time?
my big question. When you can buy a big bus for, we'll just shoot for roof and say 20,000 more.
I like it. Well, that's fine.
The V10, I think I should ask you, the V10, how long it's been out with that? He said 12. No, did he say 12? I thought that was.
That was the engine train.
That's the job I'm
I know the Chevy, the Duramax, and the Allison transfer. You talk to EGNS or whatever, that those shell out really fast. That they're supposed to get a good engine, but when you get them out in the cold, or transmission, get them out in the cold and stuff, those things going. So I'm wondering if that's not why they're.
Right, but a lot of our buses have that.
I know, I'm just telling you, but that's what he said on those Allisons.
I don't know what that little one got we had, but I know it blowed the oil up my wall up the pedal and wasn't actually.
Oh,
I remember the
parents,
driver of
wasn't it?
that.
Huh?
I remember that night, long night, Sunday.
And it wasn't an expensive truck. Would we use it though? Like you say, we're taking 2 vans to North Platte, right? Or one, but
And two vans.
what I'm hearing that we're pretty well loaded on the
The
big
Ford van that really hasn't had that many miles put on it, I agree. And, it kept inside, but it was to be a backup if one of the other three went down.
Yeah.
We're gonna wear those out first and then make that transition. You just don't find one of those if you absolutely need it. If that's the only thing you can run. You know,
How
and
much
so-
bigger of a bus would you have to for the van and the?
How much bigger bus? Well, I would say you would need, is that one a 77 passenger right now? If you put 3 per
No,
seat,
67.
67, 3 per seat.
And plus that route, you just added another half hour to that route.
That's the whole deal. We go up, you gotta go off the highway.
Oh, yeah. What the driver we have now, she starts up Sand Hill Road and helps out a bunch coming down it.
And she's full, she's got 10. I think it's almost small as that. She did what?
I bet there, in my own mind, like Polly's new bus, I bet that gets pretty good fuel economy. Like she's driving on the route. I don't think it'd be too much different with this. But it'd be a benefit.
Yeah. What was that? $1,900 expense.
Well, that just happens every once in a while.
My question is, should it happen to 31,000 miles?
You don't think you're gonna stand up or what? Not on these rough roads. And I'm looking at this mirror. If anybody's There's a lot of temperature mirrors. Them
Yeah.
things are sticking out there waiting to be tore off.
Those things are fine as long as.
Well, yeah, 'cause they gotta stick out past the regular, they're not like what you have on your van. Yeah. And they never stood behind their, the Bluebird buses that we got in it.
So we could go 50% and buy a larger bus, is that correct? DC, so just a diesel or that size,
60% on a propane, 50% on
does it have to be that same size?
No. We're committed to crushing them a little bit.
the little bus has to be.
That's
so
gonna be
there's
the
some
one that's,
stipulations
yeah.
on
Can't have for a storage shed.
size.
No, we have to be similar.
There's something about this in stipulations or on
Yeah.
requirement.
DVW.
But the way I understood it could be larger, they're just gonna be under. That's what
The next question, maybe I missed it. Are they the only ones that we apply to, or?
No, this, since we've won this, I've been contacted. I also visited two of those three. I need to return phone call.
not the way to-
This kid, you just, nothing at him.
Well, I guess we've got a little while to
Yeah, no,
digest this,
this doesn't have to.
and maybe some of the committee can get a ride on one of them and drive it or something.
And if, I'll tell you what, if you, want to make that trip in November, to Omaha, I'm quite sure we'll have a number of them.
Draw maybe, draw more of
Freightliner really has a nice piece of equipment out there. Sits down nice and low, big comfortable seats, got the TVs in it. 200, and one I looked at, 359,000.
All right, let's digest that,
Fair enough.
let's see. Can we, do I have to vote to table the bus
Yeah,
purchase?
cable.
I'll make a motion to table the bus purchase.
Any more discussion? Rex?
Yes.
Josh? Yes. Christie?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes,
Yes. Discuss and take appropriate action on TC Engineering Incorporated.
I recommend that we go with them. Now, that one email that I think I forwarded on to all, something about $3,800 would be kind of what they would maybe need. In my conversation the other day, we might even just hold off on that till we get some information from these gentlemen that were here the other day, and I'm sure it won't be any less, but at least we'll have a better idea, maybe total dollars. But that check's already been cut, correct?
it.
Right. We might as well.
That
send it on.
3,800, when you advertise, what I see is drawing and stuff in that car, or?
They didn't lead it into that I remember.
Right. Honestly, Howard kept bringing up, what do we need to pay you, and that means nothing was ever told him that day.
That's the email that we.
Well, they seem to be honest folks, that's all.
And I think if we probably send that to Wordblow, he'll pass on whatever to the to the architect of the, whatever, but, I think the one we'll be working with, not necessarily Tom, it'll be Brian, he's the younger gentleman. He's, working to pass the torch on. Wordblow and Brian are partners, this other gentleman, who just worked closely with us in engineering.
I believe they continuing when he was gonna keep the person with people, maybe didn't do it all at once.
Yeah, they said they would do what we asked.
We warned you that we were very hard to work with.
And we warned him that
Got that out there.
he went
Right
to
up
hold
front.
his checks once in a while. So, yes, I would recommend it.
I would do. I'll make that motion that we go with PC corporate.
Second. Discussion. Rex.
Yes.
Josh. Yes. Christie.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, discuss and take appropriate action on the NERCSA membership, 800 and some bucks.
I'll make a motion that we do that. It's a membership.
I'll second.
Any more discussion on that? Frank.
Yes.
Rex.
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Christie.
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
Discuss and take appropriate action on the extra duty assignment for 2018, 2019. Got a sheet here.
We, put a lot of thought process into this, when you say, Mrs. Walker, along with Tara, and this advice. This is the route we decided to go, that we keep as much of what we have to get done during the year in-house. In other words, with what staff we have. Cheerleading, for instance, Mrs. Brown is outside of what we have in the building. She, it's kind of her expertise. She visited with us a couple times last year. That job developed and opened. We've been happy to lead that. Any questions on who we got shoved into what particular spots? Mrs. Doty came to me today. She'd really like to have something to do with speech after she visited really well. He said, I wanted to give up the one app, but I didn't necessarily want to give up the speech. So, we feel pretty comfortable with the hands of the utility.
And did they come up with a system that?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank there, like present comment. But, by this time next meeting, there will be something in place.
Any discussion on that? Have a motion to accept the extra duty assignment as presented. On the second. Have a second.
I'll second.
Discussion, question? Josh.
Yes.
Rex.
Yes.
Kim.
No.
Frank. No. Christie.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Take appropriate action on board policy 3131, procurement plan, school food authority. Apparently that's a new policy. I couldn't find an old one anywhere.
Pretty much.
Is this required by the feds or why didn't we need to do this?
It says,
Oh, okay, there's that.
The part in red is the one.
Some was 150,000, now it's $250,000, is that what it is?
And I think she'll be able
Wasn't in the policy cabinet. That's the
what our attorney said, sent us, and said, we need to get it put in place.
I'll go into,
Pardon?
I'll go into our policy.
It might have been part of something else too, maybe they made it a standalone one.
I've got 31,
Okay.
dated August 8th of 2017. This is just off of the disc, so I can check the website to see if it didn't get put on there, because I didn't. it was
Well, I
already
just
done.
thumbed through it to see what the changes was, and that, it wasn't on.
I think it's just the parts in there.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to,
I'll make a motion that we adopt the changes in policy 31.
any more discussion? Frank?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Rex?
Yes.
Josh? Yes. Christie?
Yes.
Yes. Discuss and take appropriate action on bus driver pay.
Okay, did a little checking. We're really not too far off with what we do, but we could sure stand some backup drivers right now. And possibly ones we want to take a route over. But evidently what we pay doesn't necessarily excite a lot of people, because we don't have people beating our door down. We didn't. In the past, we have been helping people out with the cost and what it takes to get licensed. In the 12 months I've been here, we've been kind of burned by one of them. We felt that this was where they wanted to life forever and ever. But once they got fully licensed and they had to do some driving, they decided they were going to leave the community. Well, they had some money coming, so we were able to recoup some of that by taking them out of their check, and we didn't get sued with this. That didn't work out as bad as it could have been. But right now, we might go back to the policy that you pay for what it takes to get all that, and if hang with us a certain length of time. I don't know if we come up with how long it needs to be, but gradually. And it used to be, I think you had that, in like,
Level 1 is $200.
physical.
Physical is probably 95. And then testing, start out with CDL at 65. And here it's 750, 700.
Not a cheap bill. But we want people that can be very safe with our young people. But, I know from when I took my first test back in the late 70s, you gotta jump through to do it now. It's pretty tough.
Where all do they have to go to take them? Rick, you have to go to Stanley.
It all depends where they're being offered and how soon you want them to get done.
Level 1 is, a couple different times here in North Platte, supposed to North Platte. Pawnee has them, I think, every other month. I'm not so I'm not sure they don't do it once a month. Make sure that people are getting people trained that need it. And that's the big one, for people level to.
I'm not sure that our lack of available drivers has anything to do with it. I just don't think there are people available to do it.
Before Mr. Petty went back to work for co-op, he came in and investigated, and fill in for what he had been making, and was gonna be able to get that done in basically 4 hours. And he's good.
Yeah, it's just tough where, you know, your whole day's broke up. You come in early, you drive the route, then you gotta have something else in between.
And if you are a route driver and you have an early out because of a storm or something, you'll be able to make yourself available.
Yeah.
And,
But,
no, but we've got a couple drivers that feel like they've already maybe done what they want to do as part of their life. I know right now, Zion does not have really they're having their own vans. They're trying to pick up kids, but they don't have anybody certified yet. We've got a couple people that can run the activity bus, but not a pickup. And that was all over $150. According to, disagreement between him and Kevin.
what is the wages we pay for bus drivers now? It all depends on years of experience too. Okay, let's say first year, for a bus driver.
$11.50 for, CDL, $11 for a van.
Well, we should have had a CDL portion. Van's too easy.
And now I guess the top end would be what, 437?
But they're guaranteed a minimum of
2.5 hours.
Litchfield superintendent told me he went $75 twice a day. He had drivers fitting. He tried recruiting. As soon as he put a price tag up there, those people were lefty.
good.
I said, how are you gonna fit that into your tight old budget that I know you have? And he said, well, we said we'll find a way, because we're gonna have bus transportation.
Right.
They're guaranteed 2.5 hours per route, so in the morning and in the afternoon.
Right.
Oh, they,
If you like to get up early, people got good. You
The more you
can
talk to
get,
him,
you can get your route done and back out to go out and race it.
you can take that north flat route anytime you want to. Anymore.
One need a camera.
Didn't need a camera.
Thought would be good.
might need one of the bus drivers, yeah.
Yeah.
You can probably get free room and board in north flat.
All right, helping that bit. I mean, even truck drivers, there's a shortage of drive trucks right now. Hire anybody. Can pass the drug test and the test. Don't have too many speeding tickets on the list.
Well, if you get into certain states, I mean, you might be able to drive within 150 miles of here, but not a very good record there. I tell you what, you cross state lines, get yourself nabbed, any sort of a record. I was at Boston, I stopped in there at the travel center there a year ago last summer, and in the bathroom, and this elderly gentleman was washing his hands next to me, and I said, "Have you had a long day at the office?" He said, "Well," he said, "long enough." He said, "I think my days are numbered." What do you mean? Boy, they're forcing me to take tests. He said, "I don't read very well." He said, "I'll have you know, young man, I have not had a wreck in 5 million miles." And he said, "I don't think I'm going to be able to carry on." I would say he was probably early 60s, 65. Called me young man. But, you know, we already hunched over, you could tell he's done a lot of sleeping over the steering wheel and all that good stuff. But, you know, that's all he said he's always ever done since he was 17 years old. But I thought it was just something to bring up. We're getting by right now, but this is something that's,
We don't have any replacement.
So if you bump that up, what happens to pricing?
Probably get bumped up too. That'd get mad and quit.
I know, but what's that? Something else. If you have a double.
And most of those we've been writing.
always send it to me. I think. Does a good job for us.
And now we just have one substitute that the driver seat. And that takes, you know, you take an activity driver on a route or on an activity. If somebody else gets sick, you have somebody else.
And Mr. Pavin is getting licensed. Mr. Quilty, put pressure on him again today to finish up. But, we'll mainly do, what to do activities. You know, transport to and from what Mr. Pavin try on. Not have to put out anything extra. Mr. Quilty, and we have try something a little bigger, purchase a red box or if need be. It's got 13 foot. But the junior high, cross country and senior high are all same place, same day. Now I got them two there.
Why don't you take that and transportation, and then put down fifty figures to what it would cost.
Okay.
And hire, so I'm guessing they have to go $20. And I don't know if that will hold it, I really don't.
I've done it off and on for a lot of years. And you're cruising down the road and you hear a little commotion, you look up in that mirror, there's a whale of a lot of $1 million faces that you see in that mirror. You're handling much more expensive hardware than most any truck driver,
Yeah.
driving reefers, flatbeds.
For ice. Truck goes out of ice.
I know all about that.
There's a.
That's why I'm thinking that video in that bus might be a good idea.
Isn't that true? I mean, good.
I'd have been not on the bus no more.
Why don't you guys put some figures, what it costs overall and.
I wanted just to see what kind of interest we had out there and so it's, you know, there's certain mornings, my hair wasn't gray, it get a little grayer when we try to make sure we got people pick up the kids.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to table the bus driver pay.
Any more discussion? Rex?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Josh? Yes. Christie?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Yes. Discuss and take appropriate action on bids on surplus property.
Did your mailbox overflow? Anything coming in?
Got one here.
Open it up, see what we got.
something I
You
forgot to
just
do
did that,
before I
didn't you?
got here.
It had to be a
330
stamp, in the stamped envelope.
It did it really? That's fine.
That's the figure.
Holy crap.
I can get 50. Okay. 4 tires, 1,122 5 tires, $20.
$101 for the full. Yeah, total of that.
So about $25 a tire.
For 25. Didn't know if there'd be another bid. If somebody bid $100, I want to go 101.
What else did we have?
We always had that, short auger swings underneath
I
it.
forgot that.
Surely you could use that out there.
Well, boys,
What about, don't you need something like that too? You just, Frank told me, well, I've got
I didn't need that, I asked if you got the saw, I would have filled one out.
it. That short auger's in great shape. You know. I had to go buy one, maybe several thousand.
Okay, do I have a motion to set bid of $101 for the 4 1,122 5 tires?
I'll make that motion.
I just want to interject a comment here. This particular individual did not come and look at those, so what you bought,
It's already done deal, it's already in the motion,
Deal.
everything.
no, they're good tires. You put them on a trailer, I presume.
I was taking your word from talking to
They
you
were,
prior.
yeah, they were steering tires, they were,
Right. And we're usually not recaps.
Frank?
Yes.
Josh? Yes. Christie?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Nick?
I'll take it.
Yes. Accepted the bid for $101.
I'm not gonna help you load them in.
No problem, I got that.
Okay,
Do we still have the saw or did it get?
Everything else, nothing's been,
Everything else been done?
I'm gonna keep advertising, yes. Months, yeah. We could- But I, might entertain putting that auger on big.
You don't have to pay for them to take it. As long as you don't have to pay for it to take it. then it's safe.
$1 a month.
Don't bring $50, and they could keep the 50.
Is it really?
500? We have
They
quite a
base their
few.
commissions off of $500, so if they don't bring $500.
What were you using? Yeah, what were you using them? Yeah.
You're paying the 500?
No.
that's too bad.
Now, there's other outfits out there. Is it one of them Purple Wave?
Purple Wave, box anytime. So,
Where do you?
Well,
On
I'm
the
just doing it
website.
on
there's no
the
Facebook.
website, Facebook.
When can it, I would put in a bid for the alternate, but do I need to wait till next month to do that? And then, right,
Well, yeah, you'll have to wait. till
all right,
next month.
that's fine. I forgot all about it. All right. Yeah. On the back of it. Drop that. Okay, discuss and take appropriate action on FTE of consumer science.
All yours.
We did have it down for 3 hours, is that right? Hours. And we have her now doing 1, 2, well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. And one reason is everybody has a wind freeze, including her. That's with our class of 28 kids. That's too big of a group for You think it's 29?
$500.
I was checking the power store. If we're up to date, maybe 29. But anyway, too many for one. It's almost too many for one class room. And this is a big part of where the study hall, we're going to get help from teachers. And so she has a win, and she also teaches child development, teaches interior design. It's the junior high rotation that they do. And then she's teaching health and home ec. So we have to offer health to ninth graders for our little kids. So she's picking that up for us. So, 50 more hours a week.
We originally got her to sign a contract for those, basically those 3 periods, and for a certain amount of money. Now that and she's willing to do this other, and we have numbers.
Interior design will become food second semester. So that they get that.
Does she have a time when she does the class to teach you how to live by yourself in Arizona?
Doesn't know, but that doesn't mean she can't.
That's
Second
and I
semester.
think Frank and I, that was the one we were pushing for. I would like that to be a required class.
Yeah, when I heard about interior
Adult
design, I
living.
was a little bit shocked. When Frank, when he was introducing this a couple
There's
years
some different
ago.
ones. The interior design, I want to fix that bathroom.
Not our job.
I want her to design everything all the time. You know, I'll do that. Child development, we're told because we've got preschool. And we have some kids signed up for that. That doesn't mean they can't work it in a required. It's tough.
That helps us with our career pathways that we're
Mhm.
supposed to use well.
But it's not quite.
What?
They were saving some on counseling. Because she's, after,
Well, in my opinion, you're gonna pay her full-time, need to be here full-time.
but we're not paying her full time.
That's what
Breaks-
you're
breaks
saying you
down.
wanna do.
She's not full time. She's
You
teaching
just said you wanted to
1,
pay her
2,
full
3,
time.
4, I just want to pay her for the periods that she's teaching, which is more than 3. She's teaching 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then she has practice class. And that's not full time. Full time would be 8 classes.
What's that piece then?
Full time equivalent 3.
So it'd be a .65.
Oh, I see, okay. I thought that just meant to take her full time. Sorry. Oh, yeah, she deserves to be paid for what she's doing.
Oh, amen, amen.
And that affects the insurance, that affects, all of that is percentage of what we have at work.
She's also doing
Working
several
towards
extra
getting
duties.
all of her credits.
And her degrees.
Let's pick up her endorsement, endorsing them. Kids like the class, want to take it.
And we've got her doing some other things that fall under that.
So we talk about a number. Maybe a little closed session. Somewhere else.
I don't know if I caught all
I'm
that.
not turning it up.
The difference, that's all I'm looking for.
Yeah.
What's the money?
You have that handy, you gave it to me, I think, once today.
Well, she's right now, what percentage?
Just a percentage of base, right?
She's at .375, and she'd go to .625, and if they get added with benefits, everything.
14, less than 15.
That's with everything. That was just
You're gonna have her here that much, you gotta pay her.
But it's going
I make the motion that we adjust Mrs. Burnside's salary to reflect the hours that she's here.
I'll second.
We'll start working on next year's schedule. So we can get full-time,
Well,
or like, if not a full-time, but get her the class that you want. So see if we can get her required class.
I'd really rather do it like that than.
Well, and these could be semester.
I would like it to be a required class, a one semester required for the senior. That's what I would like.
That would make it junior and senior, so in one of them 2 years, they have
They could do
the
it.
opportunity to make it fit.
You know, whatever you wanna call it, life, you don't know that, I don't think.
Survival.
It's not about.
That's right.
Makes a meal for themselves.
Fix
Can you
the meal,
just make
voucher
it
for the-
required like that?
Do you guys,
I think
can
so.
she really teach it? Look at Rich, I think he relies on her totally.
I was 90 pounds when I got married.
If you want it, if you want it required, you probably have to say that, but it, and then you have to make that part of our required courses. It's like in the handbook, which then goes to, goes in power school, which then goes to,
Now you gotta get it approved by somebody, don't you?
Mm.
When I was in school, it was required, and it was too high.
I
I
can
mean,
see it
look at
being
this, you
required in junior high, but I don't agree with being required.
yeah, there, it is required, it's part of the rotation.
So when you say required, are we talking one semester?
Are you talking about the junior high?
Well,
Junior high is like one quarter, everybody, every seventh and eighth grade takes that class one quarter. And then they take one of ag, and they take one of art, and they take one of business. And then they rotate.
I think I'd like to, required.
Before they go out on their own.
We have a lot of kids this year taking college classes. We have kids asking to take course during their wing time. They're wanting more. More. And I think we'll continue to see that.
You give them the option, not required. In my opinion.
I personally think it's required. It's a life skill that they all need. If we're gonna educate that child, they need to be educated on it.
And that fall back to your parents should be able to do that also.
We also, what made this schedule difficult was we added egg. We had to rearrange it for that.
And plus they're running full 8-hour schedule as it is for day period.
We talked about having a 0 hour. It's difficult for those that ride a bus, and for juniors and seniors that probably do have the ability to drive, and stuff that if they really want it before they get out of high school, they can maybe pick it up during that 0 hour, which is probably from 7:10 to 8 o'clock. Broken Bow, for example, which is close by, we only have one that I know of that runs it. Mrs. Walker and I talked about it.
How far that college stuff is, what driven for the fact that if they're smart enough to figure it out, that they will get it out. Then we'll get a leg up and everything, it's a lot less.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And we're looking for scholarships, there's possible community scholarships for this. Because if you want to take one or two, it starts to get expensive. If we can get scholarship money for that would help.
Height Machinery wants to let them in the door and visit with juniors and seniors. I think we need to go through down the sophomores and start to visit with John Deere. A lot of these young people don't necessarily think that they've got to go to a 4-year college and that's a good living. We need young people that understand that computer world and become technicians to work on these high-dollar tractors, combines. That stuff like, lighting, plumbers, electricians, and, yeah. Matter of fact, the electrician I had in here, that did some of the lighting, he offered that Coco boy, if he wants to, we go there and some, I'll put him up in a home and, do a good job for summer next year. He's gonna be a junior. That kid picked up real well when he.
Okay. Kim?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Yes. Discuss and take appropriate action on plumbing issues for the industrial tech building and boys main bathroom.
Okay, Louis brought to my attention, sink out there in the shop, old tech room, industrial tech room, whatever. I've had a lot of junk poured down it evidently last spring. And we got some, I can't even blow it through. I had operators out there. He said that it's gonna be a fairly quick fix, because there's no sense of changing out that sink. Sink would be all the things, plumbing that runs into, same pipe that the school runs off of, needs to be replaced. Now, the black gentleman that works for Operate, I can't think of his first name,
Willie.
he said, we're pretty doggone busy, I don't think we can get to that for a couple of weeks. Now, Charlie at Drexel, I think, is a man of many talents. I haven't visited with him, see if he'd want to tackle that. But what he probably wouldn't want to tackle is what problem we have in the boys' bathroom. It's not the pipe that we thought might be affected by the tree out there so much as it is the one from the urinal to that outlet. This gentleman thinks we got a break in the pipe. We'll have to tear up some of the floor. I haven't asked him about either one of them, but I'll believe probably have. Unless you think of somebody else who might be able to give you a question. Problem in the boys' bathroom is not a problem until we have to use quite a little bit, like during the ball game. Or flow out of it.
Definite problem. Way into the sand and sand doesn't tell you what we got there.
Like
Yeah,
this girl segment boy, is that what you're talking about?
Just we've known that's coming, me, you're gonna have, I'm ready to fix it.
One may get a couple of kids. Louis recommends Rockley's. We just had one guy retire out of the business in Broken Bow. The other one is up in his late 70s. The other two down there.
Plumbing, I don't know.
Charlie's plumbing guy sold it out to someone.
Oh, I know the last one had a help. Yeah, that junior high law. I don't know, I guess.
I mean, offer's gonna be high, and snow's gonna get, see who's higher. Mel did a good job down the boardwalk.
Yeah.
Well, visit Monopolies again, see if I can get a timeline.
Have to do anything on that.
Fix it.
Discuss and take appropriate action on storage container.
Want a piano?
Also, any other discussion?
Today, he said he could take care of us, he had three, and, the next day he said he was down to one. Didn't think he could do any more like that.
It did stay like that.
And,
That wasn't too bad of a price.
if you're just satisfied, I know somebody will take it off your hands today.
What, earlier I thought you said 4,800, now it's what, 60?
And it gets,
Double in,
double
9
in,
foot,
brand new, it's never had anything in it.
8 foot tall. Or 9 foot. Height. It's a height.
Frank, you make a motion, right? Somebody make a second? Josh did, okay. Any more discussion? Frank?
Yes.
Josh? Yes. Christie?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Rex? Yes. Yes.
As he pointed out to me, he said he should appreciate why this tariff deal is going, at least in the near future.
That might be one of your first phone calls, just as soon as so.
Okay. Just to take appropriate action on the payment of claims and transfers prior to the end of the fiscal year.
We probably won't do anything different than what you've done in the past for some of those, transfers and or payments. We paid up front for some co-paying, up front for some, and we could slide some other monies around. Rest of it for depreciation. But Gina and I have discussed and discussed what we might care to do and what we feel we have monies to do, if it'll do us some good to do some prepay. I think we need a bit of a break if we're going to do that. That's how I see it.
I'll have it say something.
This would be approved payment of the claims and transfers prior to the.
And we'll get some bills in, you know, we could probably take care of that this year's budget and worry about it next year. If we think it'll do us some good. Really nothing more than what you've done in the past.
Payment of claims and transfers prior to the end of the fiscal. Any other discussion?
I'll keep you informed though. You'll know with an email what we.
Josh? Yes. Rex? Yes. Frank? Kim?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now, attendance report. Anything above and beyond?
Okay, first and foremost, I think you saw what we have going here. The committee has met, I think, twice now, that I had Mrs. Williams put together. brainstorm some ideas on how we could possibly attract more clients to help us out here. We want to make sure that we let the people know when we're looking at real homegrown Logan County beef. They're on top of it. We had a little float and parade and dealing with this. Okay, my report, you probably all read through it. Unless you have other questions. We've done several things since then. I tried to bring you up to date here about a week ago with what we were getting finished up. The doorman was here again today with the mag lock. Did he say anything to you?
He'll be back around 15 minutes.
Okay, so
But we have to.
and our cement contractor, Mr. Jackson, got a hold of me last Thursday. But Howard, he said, I'll be there on Monday. I said, well, that's nice to hear, but I said, we've got a lot going on next week around here. Can you put it off a week? Well, I was hoping you'd say that. So a week from this coming Monday, he hopes to get started with everything. Now, the engineer pointed something out to us out here front. We really need to have a designated handicap accessible parking too. He recommended when we run that cement across the street there, or the driveway, that we put an apron on either side of that, right there by the empty sidewalk, so it's properly marked.
Yeah, especially
That was
then
my
they're gonna have to
question.
walk up the steps.
There's steps there and plus. Oh, like that. No. Yeah, that.
You'd
that's
have
not-
to say that is,
But for that parking lot, you have to have one that handicap parking spot. Continue using that. The way I understand it, you had to have one or two for every 50 vehicles parked over there. You still have to have it.
As it sits right now, we don't have any.
I was just gonna, everybody knew that.
Yeah.
You're in a wheelchair,
Yeah,
don't come in nowhere.
and then come around on,
Around.
Yeah, keep going and going and going.
I know.
They'll have to go down to the main doors.
well, they could get new library doors.
I don't know.
This door is pretty narrow.
That's what that was on you.
But, that wasn't necessarily in the bid, but I thought maybe since Mr. Jackson was able to put us off this long, that maybe we can make a real wheel and deal on that. No pricing. Just food for thought there. We've got the lights going in the pre-K, and the office needs some more attention. We're still flickering even with the LEDs, and it has to do between that room and the toolbox. And music. Electrician wanted to have an associate. We did go through every one of the boxes that were above the office. Some of those connections weren't even wire knotted, they were just taped. Didn't have covers over the boxes. Thought maybe that was possibly the problem. But what tends to be the problem though copy machine. It's on all the time and cycles, so when you use it, it's basically instantaneous. And I think that's what's affecting it. But I haven't taken time to find the circuit plug into extension.
Thing you have to run the line on.
There's a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
Walker.
Right. Small area, everyone was responsible. Okay. Our teachers all went to this Adventures PLC day, and instead of meeting for those months here, they're gonna meet 3 or 4 times with that. The main speaker, the motivational speaker, everybody loved. And they started talking about PLC, and I almost said, get Frank in here right now. This is, see. We'll see how much they do going on. Problem is, everything's I mean, that's a problem they brought us to. I thought was good. I knew people to kind of get an overview of it. So,
but your school district's been ahead of the game for several years. Thanks to Mrs. Walker.
well, in West End and all those, that training we got, they really like talking to the teachers in their own content areas. Like 3rd grade teachers talk about Saturday, with 3rd grade. Band teachers, music teachers, that music, they really enjoyed. I shared the parent-teacher handbook and the changes with the students, and they've been wonderful. They've been handing in their phones easily, not one person so far.
Who's this? My buddy?
Not maybe, anything, warned her this time, it went down, and she could pick it up at the end of the day, and the next time the parents have to pick it up and hopefully try the next time, but one student, that's not bad. It works well, we have, Holly picking them up in the morning. So,
What I noticed, I had my door open.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, I'm just off the kitchen. I hear this racket. They're talking to each other, sitting across the table from each other, doing like.
they're way louder,
So I just shut my door and leave it a little more
Mhm.
quiet.
they're way louder, but that's okay, that's okay. But that's, I said, and when I'm writing this, it was the first day of school, so, that's usually a good day. We'll see as things go on. We're going, 3 of us are going to MTSS training, which the whole service unit, the whole state's in the process, going through that type of thing instead of what we've been doing for SPED and SAT before. We're still gonna be once a week, but it's gonna be on Tuesday mornings instead of Monday, which is a fabulous idea. And, late breaking, we're going to take our juniors and seniors to North Platte. Up with People is coming, and they have kids from like 15 different foreign countries and states, and they'll have like booths set up with their food, their clothing, etc. And we're gonna have them go. It's only gonna be from like 9:55 to 11 something, but that will help us fulfill that multicultural clause that we have to take care of. So we're gonna do that. We're just planning that. And hey, we had lots of challenges this year starting school, and I just really want to commend the state the staff for their teamwork, and they all helped make this a successful year. And it was a little maybe more difficult for a lot of us, but I think we made it. I'm proud of them. Any questions or?
Thank you, Ms. Walker.
Mhm.
Mrs. Walker has just been a real trooper here the last couple of weeks. I gave her the opportunity if she felt like she needed to go home and rest for a few hours rather than put in a 10, 11, sometimes a 12-hour day. We hung right in here to make sure that we were properly prepared.
Oh, and after one day, kids, I got cold. But I'm not the only one. But Ron said, oh, good job. One day, you made it one day without getting sick. So it could be an interesting year.
Okay, thank you. All right, next, dates, is we'll have a budget hearing again. Discuss that, cover a little more depth on the 17th and 8th. That goes well, we will have the tax, well, it has to go well, because by the 20th, we gotta have the, I believe it is, we got to have the request in, our tax request. That'll be at 8:05, and at 8:10, we will have the next regular board meeting. And probably Mr. Gaffney will talk to the transportation, and then a little bit on the things we need to talk about. And any other things that have to come about. All right, we'll adjourn this meeting.
There's some dessert over there. Those of you that might want to partake. Assume you don't at least sample it. Make me feel bad. You don't.
Rick, that's a requirement, you can't leave, you gotta think. It's a requirement. Thanks for coming, Rick.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Have you heard whether or not you're gonna do a presentation Saturday night or not?